Whether you have a diagnosis or not, I don't care. Jump inside this podcast and I'm going to teach you how to read your own blood work so you can find the answers to your health concerns. Yes, those normal labs that your doctor keeps saying, oh, they look great, we'll see you again in 6 months. They really have answers in them if you know how to read it correctly. So come join me along this journey, leave a review, and share with your friends. Let's dive in. What health coaching certification program do I recommend? I get this question asked all the time. Well, I've finally vetted them out, and the one program that outshines all others is Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, or FDN. There are 3 reasons why. 1, it's very clinically based and teaches labs. I myself turned down a master's degree in functional medicine because it didn't teach labs. 2, you have lifetime access and it always gets updated. This is important because things change and you need to be in the know. 3, when you complete the training on your timeline, they have an incredible post-grad community. So they don't just kick you out on the streets and say, good luck. If you've been thinking about receiving your health coaching certification or are a practitioner looking to branch out and scale a virtual practice, now is the time. Make 2023 your year. Do this for you, your family, and those you're about to help. Go to fdntraining.com/Dr. Kylie. Check the show notes for a $250 off code available for a limited time. I am happy to announce that I have partnered with Functional Diagnostic Nutrition because I love their program so much. They are now the podcast sponsor. All right, let's get into the podcast episode. Here we go. Welcome to the Beyond the Diagnosis podcast with me, Dr. Kylie. We have a returning guest today because his previous episode was so popular, we brought him back, and we're going to talk about how cancer is not a disease. Dun, dun, dun. Welcome on, Dan, who is a heroic performance life coach. What is that, Dan?
It's 4 words. So let's break them down. Heroic. So there's 2 main pathways that have been established for happiness because everybody is on this planet to seek happiness. And the one way you could go is the hedonic pathway. And you can follow the pleasure-pain cycle where you're chasing pleasure and you're avoiding or having an aversion to pain or discomfort. And so it's a disempowering pathway. It takes your power away, and all your rewards in life, all your validation for who you are is outside of yourself. It's expressed externally. Now we got another pathway, and that's the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell's work, right? The hero's journey, where you step into your power. And positive psychology would say, how do you do that? Well, you live with excellence moment to moment to moment by honoring and living in integrity with your particular core values and virtues. In other words, take the high road. Well, first you got to know the high road, take the high road. And if knowing what's right and doing it right feels good, that's the hero's journey, because society is set up to dupe us into the hedonic pathway. It's really good for business. Okay. And what happens is people get on the hamster wheel of life and they can't fulfill the pleasure. It's unfulfillable. There's no deep purpose and meaning in it. So you keep going after more pleasure, avoid pain, more pleasure, avoid pain. And so now you become fragile in life. You become vulnerable and volatile and fragile because you're losing yourself in the material world. We got to get it back. So hero is bringing that understanding. It's not either or, right? We're going to have pleasure, but we know that we're not going to lose ourselves in that, and that we're going to get back on the track and enjoy a virtuous life. How does that show up? Well, performance. Everybody wants everyone else to perform at their best. Go to a concert. You want that person to have a nice, good night's sleep, a good meal, taking care of themselves, self-care, and you want them to perform at their best. You want your manager, your boss, your coworker, you want your mechanic, you want everybody else to be at their best because it makes your day. So performance means you have to learn heroically to be that person in your life. We need people to demonstrate what that looks like. Then you got life. You have an inhale when you come into the world. You have an exhale when you leave. Life is in between the inhale and the exhale. But what does that actually mean? It means that everybody that I know are really just concerned about, am I healthy? Am I wealthy? And do I have love in my life? Body, mind, and spirit. Right? And so the alignment of all those is flourishing. Okay? And I've learned that the common denominator in that is the importance and necessity of self-love as absolute love to apply to take care of your health, to find your creative expression and your authentic self in your career and work and your leisure activities and your sports or whatever, and apply that in your family. So you could be more energized, more productive, and joyfully connected. Now you need a coach. A coach, what does that mean? You don't need a coach. You have to actually coach yourself. But a coach is just someone that's going to do their best to set you up in a position to bring the best out of you and to help you align with who are you at your best. Do you know what you do to be at your best? Probably haven't thought about it because the hedonic pathway takes you out of that pathway. And it allows you to be mediocre, et cetera, et cetera. So heroic performance life coaching is helping people to get on that hero's journey that Joseph Campbell talks about, or even Maslow's hierarchy of needs to self-actualize. Is just as much of a need to be your true authentic self as food. It's food for the soul.
So describe who your ideal perfect client is.
Okay, people that are actually looking, they're already engaged in looking to champion their health. They have a health issue. They're like, I'm not buying this. I'm not going to die of cancer. Cancer's not a disease. I'm going to learn to actually rise above that and transcend it. So people want to look for magic in their life. They want to actually create magic and say, hey, I'm overweight, but I'm not buying it. I'm going to take care of this. There's one guy, Roy, 650 pounds, 70 years old, took control of his life, 340 pounds now in 2 years. That's a hero, right? That's the expressiveness of a hero. I have a woman with pancreatic cancer, and she has Ultra Wellness Center from Mark Hyman's work as her so-called metabolic team. And she actually said, hey, I want you to soul rehabilitate me. I want to get connected to my heroic self. So we're doing conscious breath work. In the first session, it radically altered her course. Literally radically altered her. She got rid of rage. She got rid of anger. She realized that I intellectually thought I was over that, but my body somatically still held it. Mm-hmm. And so now she was able to witness me seeing her go through 5 powerful, angry, rageful cycles in a 2-hour breath session. And she felt really different.
2-hour breath session?
That's what it takes to get
me through a 5-minute breath session? Or even a 2-minute session?
Yeah, we could do a 1-minute breathing session.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, just close your eyes. Now, right now, just focus on the body breathing. You're not doing anything. You're just witnessing it. And you might notice yourself trying to control it. See if you can let it go and let it control you. Let the body breathe you. It has wisdom. And then you can use your mind to say, I'm breathing in on the inhale. I am breathing out on the exhale. Now notice if thoughts take you away from that, and try to align with the one that's observing those thoughts. You're not the thoughts, they come and go. What remains is the real you, a piece of the real you. Breathe it in and let it go. Just allow it to happen. Don't do anything, just observe the breathing. This is the ultimate technique for relaxation, meditation, and deepening our awareness to the conscious something that is observing the body breathing. And then slowly come back to the room.
just like so relaxing just for that minute. Just now I want to go take a nap.
Right. And so when we relax, the body now has a place to empty themselves, to detoxify. And when you're doing it from a meditative or breathing sense, you're going into stillness and silence and the present moment. And then, from detoxification, higher concentrations of toxicity find its way to lower toxicity. So the body starts to see all the toxic thoughts that's running around and taking control and taking you out of the present moment. And you start to enter that stillness and silence, and they start to leave. Detoxify, or in our world, defragment the brain, right? Make some space, clean it up. And so as that goes deeper and deeper, actually the ego gets defensive. And because now it's starting to feel threatened. And my job is to guide them into the challenging part, not the threatening part. So it's stressful, but it's a challenge to empower you to actually go deeper and wider. And then there's way more to it. But that's the first place, because I have to create safety with that person and trust. And the fastest way is to get them aligned with relaxation. And then we did some practice exercises. We did a little dialogue, and then right into it. And within 15 minutes, she was having an energy cycle, which is she was coming in contact with somatic memory, cellular memory for her emotions. And all I just said is, we're going to breathe through it, because you're pushing it up and out. It wants to leave, and a part of you wants to hold on to it. And that's the war within that we have to actually win.
So how can we apply this breathing stuff inside like a health treatment protocol?
Well, breathing is one of the main fundamentals for establishing life force or your energy. Plain and simple. Everyone's talking about it. You have to food, yep. Water, beverage, yep. Air, the respiratory system, yeah, okay. Hormonal system, regenerative system, and hormones and nervous system, yeah. Those are all aspects of dialing in your life force, because you need life force to concentrate on what's important. And if you could do that consistently, you can activate your heart set. So your heart can become set on doing something greater than you. So it comes down to life force, energy. Everyone talks about it. I need more energy. I need more energy. Well, where's it being held? Where's it being used and stored? And let's free it up. And so with this patient that came to me with pancreatic cancer, I taught her the first lesson that cancer is not a disease. And you know what? She said, I want that. I want that attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I have my story to back it up and make them feel safe. And then say, essentially, cancer is something, it's not an event, it's a process. And that process is how you've been living. And so now it's an opportunity for you to live differently and find out what it is that you have been transgressing from your true self. And start to make the choices to bring you back into your power, back into your true self. And with cancer, it's often an indiscriminate attempt to eliminate a characteristic trait, usually rage or anger.
And tie what you did with your cancer to get 25 years ago?
1994, I was diagnosed, 29 years old.
Yeah.
Following the hedonic path.
So
my happiness.
For listeners who haven't heard the previous episode with you before, a brief summary of you and cancer and why it's such a passion.
So 94 to 2000, I had an awakening in 94 to answer a question. Right? My oncologist gave me the diagnosis and a powerful question. Dan, how did such a young man such as yourself get into the business of cancer? And right there, it told me that cancer is not a disease. Okay? Right there. And so that set my life syllabus into motion, because if I could answer that question, I could save my soul and help a lot of other people along the way. It's both. You need to have both. Why am I going to go through the pain and suffering? That why has to be greater than your own survival, personally. And I promised my God in 2000, when I actually was just left the psychiatric ward, I wanted to kill myself, but it was an eye opener because in there I said, I need to learn how to love myself back to health and well-being, the real self. And they were like, no, that's your mental illness talking. So we need to get your medication up. And so I was angry. That was my rage that I could not express properly or healthy or even explain it. And my cancer came back the second day while I was in lockdown in the psychiatric ward. And I was experiencing what I call life bankruptcy. What we can also say in this lifetime, that was my maximum separation from the true authentic self, where my positive and negative self, my masculine feminine energy, just shattered and polarized so much that the only thing I could do was either die or come back. And I had to go beyond the mind to get the information and inspiration to follow it. Because anything is possible if you go beyond the mind. And that's where your heart set is at. The mindset's the mind, but the heart set is beyond the mind.
Heart set. I like that. How do we tap into the heart set?
You can't go after it. You have to observe when you're in your mindset, trying to do it instead of allowing it. Right. So in that breathing session with my client, that's what we were talking about. Your mind is going to interfere with you getting beyond the mind. And we need to clean that out like an irrigation of your own emotions. And the more you irrigate all those out, then you start to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then eventually you break free at some point. For some people, it's 100 breathing sessions. For some, it's 3, 4, 10. We don't know. And then all of a sudden they come into a state that goes beyond the mind. So you go into a state of wholeness with yourself. I call that holy matrimony, where now that separation comes together in union, yoga, the union of those two parts. Then you go and you deepen that into oneness with all things.
So there's a lot more to overcoming health problems than just physical treatment.
Bottom line. I mean, we could help people heal at the body level, but then if it didn't happen at the body level, if the cause was higher than that consciousness, then you're going to have trouble and it's going to take forever. And you're always going to have setbacks, obstacles. And then you want to jump into, what's my relationship with money? What's my self-worth? What's that relationship like? Because that's important, right? And then, of course, that's your expertise now, is really diving into people in terms of, get your self-worth up and your health. So you could use that to get your health up, is have the worthiness that you can be healthier. Right?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you an example here. There was a guy who commented on my Facebook ad within the last day or two, telling me his whole saga. You know, he's been to all the doctors, he's tried everything, blah, 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 blah. And it makes me sad that someone has to experience that, but he's still looking for physical treatment. He's still looking for something like that to work, and he's now accepted his identity. Right. 2 issues with that. What do you see?
Well, he's in the psychic field where disease is inevitable and out of his control. That belief. Yeah. That's his belief. Yeah. It's culturally and socially ingrained.
It is.
And he needs some kind of hope. He doesn't have hope. He doesn't believe his future is going to be better than his current time or current state. So he needs some hope. And what we need to do is take his intellect away, because that's where he hides. That's his defense mechanism.
Which is what? The mind?
Yeah, that's his defense. It's used against him.
Well, I just hear, like, when people say the same story over and over and over again, and it's like, I'm not going to listen to it, because you're giving that story power. And when you give that story power, you are now taking the power away from yourself.
Well, that's the dynamic. That's a thing called the dynamic drama triangle. And so I show them the dynamic drama triangle. And what that is that you're a victim. A victim is living in fear. And a victim actually needs to be rescued. Right? And then the rescuer actually becomes victimized by the victim. And next, because they're in fear, they need someone to persecute them and belittle them constantly and control them, because they need someone that's afraid to give them their sense of self. That's the Bermuda Triangle. You lose yourself in that, and that's the hedonic path. That's where it is. Now we got to break out of that and say, hey, we got to challenge you instead of rescue you. Well, we got to coach you instead of rescuing you. You need to coach your agency and develop your agency. And you got to actually look at it and say, I need this as a challenge to break out of that cycle. That's the first challenge. Get out of that triangle, the Bermuda Triangle. Then you got to have courage. You're going to have to exercise the virtue of courage. And that's the hero's journey. But if you don't have love for life, which I had to get, I had nothing. So I had to have, I fell in love with life for life itself, to see if I could transcend the situation as a challenge to my own inner drama triangle. Yeah. And now with this gentleman, it might not be for him. He's not ready. That's pretty simple, right? After one or two.
People will say, well, I'll do anything to get better.
Oh, yeah, right. And then if you, and then you tell them your price and then they go, forget it. And then you go, well, look I tell you what, I'll do it for free for a month. And then they go, nah, forget it.
Takes work. And we're talking more work than just supplements and diet and the physical things. Like, you got to go inside and you got to heal your crap. And the crap that you don't even know exists, you got to heal.
Yeah, we call that, you think you know, but you really don't know. And so by definition, the healing journey, the conscious healing journey, is going to have discomfort, because by definition, you have to grow and transcend. You have to move out of comfort zone, which is uncomfortable. And then you're going to have to lean into the uncertainty that there is no guarantees. Sorry, there's just no guarantee.
Yeah.
Just the way it works. And then you have to deal with the hard work, which is the hero's journey. Hercules had to take the path that was the hardest path. Why? Because at the end of his life, he can look back and he can see the gain he had in his character, rather than all the shiny objects he had and feeling empty. I refer to that as the hollow Easter bunny. When you bite into a chocolate bunny and it's hollow, looks all nice and shiny on the outside, nothing on the inside. You got gypped.
Yeah.
Give me that solid chocolate.
That's so funny. But I think about, like, I don't have some crazy health story, but I have business struggles. I can talk business and money all day long because that's been my struggle.
So we all have an area. We have an area of life that we shine. And so my greatest challenge was health. So that's where I shine. But it was also combined with creating self-worth to heal myself and the self-love. And what I want to share with people, self-love, because I think they don't understand it. Self-love is having a vision for who you want to be and become. And you want to love that self. And therefore, you can access self-mastery and self-discipline to say yes to the things you need to do to love that self. Then you're going to have to exercise self-control over the part of you that wants to remain down and out, victimized, and less than. And so you have to say no and exercise self-control. So self-love is not difficult if you can work the imagination to say, wait a minute, I didn't come to Earth just to survive. I wanted to thrive and flourish. And I had to learn that because everything that I was built on was survival, victimhood, persecutors, and rescuers. So I had to break down my entire culture. Well, for the most part, most of that negative dynamic drama triangle based on cultural, society, and my family upbringing, the environment I grew up in. That has to all get broken down. Now, the good news is once I did that, I was my true self, and now my family embraces me better.
Well, you're also the light for your family, too. Like, I've had
now they're my light, too, because now they're stepping into their thing.
Exactly. I've had to break down a lot of money on our side of the family. And so now it's like when I hear my family members say snippets about these things, I flip it. Like, no, every time you spend money, it comes back to you multiplied. If you don't believe it right now, I don't care. Just tell yourself that until you believe it. And then you'll start to
That's
see.
Master Luke Chan. When I studied with him medical qigong in China for 30 days, he said, Dan, you don't have to believe. You have to do, and the belief will follow.
Yeah, I'm spending right now $250 a day in Facebook ads. And I laid in bed last night and I thought, $250 a day translates to $1,000 every 4 days. Holy crap.
Yeah.
My goal is to get to $1,000 a day. But it's trusting in what I know. And it's trusting in, do I believe this? Do I believe that when I spend money, it comes back to me multiplied? Do I believe it? Let's find out.
Right. And the second part is you're winning or learning.
I've learned a lot.
Lose.
I've learned a lot, but right now I'm winning.
Right. But even if it slips up, like people think I've succeeded all the way along. They know my success was hell. My success is hell. And here's the thing. If you want a slice of heaven, you're going to have to go through some kind of hell.
Uh-huh.
That's just the way this game that we're playing on this plane of living operates. And people are upset at that game. They're pissed off about it. They just want it to be handed. Why wouldn't God just make it easy? Why wouldn't it,
Yeah, we could talk for hours. So let's finish up here. Where can people learn more about you and join your mind and your heart set?
The heart set. I'm doing it for the love of life. It's just and every person I work with, their life, no matter where they are life. They're breathing. They have life in there. That's a green leaf. A green leaf, and you got to transplant that life, that green, and reroot it in a different environment, a different soil, and start nourishing and nurturing it. And then they can grow a new tree, a new truth. So they could go to Dan Hegerich, HEGERICH.com. And anyone that wants to just share with me what's going on, 15-minute consultation, I'd love to connect. Dan Hegerich at yahoo.com. And they could go to my podcast. That's my email. Yeah, Dan Hegerich at yahoo.com. And they can go to Do the Cure podcast to learn a few things. Cool.
All right, guys, you heard it. There's more to your health, and there's more to living the life of your dreams which you can have. You got to work there to get there, though. And that oftentimes means 99.99% of the time means you have to go back and heal your crap, the crap that you didn't know existed. I know because I'm doing it. I've been doing it. So is Dan. And that's why we can be successful. That's why we're helping you be successful, whatever that looks like for you, but you got to do the work. We've done it. And we're continuing to do it because it's probably a never-ending journey, right?
Until you die and then come back. Yeah.
All right. Go to danhegerich.com and until next time.
The health coaching certification program that I recommend is Functional Diagnostic Nutrition, or FDN. You can get started anytime. So grab the $250 off code from the show notes and go to fdntraining.com/Dr. Kylie and get started. Don't wait any longer. Make 2023 your year. Do this for you, your family, and for those you're about to help. fdntraining.com/Dr. Kylie. Ready to have all of your blood work compiled in one location where you can easily read it all together? Well, go grab my book, Why Are My Labs Normal, on Amazon. Grab it, learn how to read your own labs, and take the power back in your hands because your normal blood work is loaded with answers. You just got to have the right person reading it, and the right person can be you. Go grab it on Amazon, Why Are My Labs Normal by Dr. Kylie Burton. Leave a review, and we'll see you on the next episode.